Sonia has started the transcription. So welcome everyone. We are so happy to have such a great turnout for this year's annual contractor workshop, the second year in a row that we're holding this virtually, which we're very hopeful by next season we'll be able to be meeting with you again in person. The beauty of this is that so many of you are able to attend from all over the region, and we really appreciate your enthusiasm for this. So here it is, the end of March. Happy spring. It is springtime in Vermont. And for everybody that's attending this workshop, that can mean one thing first and foremost: construction season. Everybody's been gearing up for this, thinking about it all winter, jonesing for it. We're so excited that we're at the finish line of the winter, and some of you are already out there digging in the dirt. We've been catching up with a few of the early birds who got here, and folks are really, really eager to get going. That's music to our ears as well. At the Agency of Transportation, we are so thrilled that we're going to be able to keep everybody super busy this season with no shortage of construction projects for this year and well beyond this year. Thanks to all of the new funding that's been coming in, we anticipate that we are going into a stretch of a lot of construction. And for that reason, the civil rights section, my whole team, and our whole agency has been working really hard this winter, trying to come up with some great new business processes that will make it that much easier for everybody to stay in full compliance, to be highly productive, to communicate effectively, and to minimize all the interruptions once you get going. So we're going to be talking about that this morning, and it's going to be the focus of today's workshop. But before we get started, I am so happy that we are being joined by our agency's chief engineer and the director of our highway division, Ann Gamble, who has joined us this morning and is going to say a few words. So thank you so much, Ann, for being here.
Thank you very much, Lori, and good morning and welcome to our Civil Rights Contractors Workshop. As Lori said, my name is Ann Gamble. I am the Vermont Agency of Transportation's Chief Engineer and Director of the Highway Division. Each year, Lori and her team put together this workshop to convey updates and changes in civil rights guidance documents and business processes. However, the most important part is the connection made of faces with names and the ability to collaborate. With the passing of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act by Congress, we find ourselves faced with new challenges and new opportunities. Here in Vermont, we are seeing billions of dollars headed our way. At the same time, we're experiencing a labor shortage and fluctuations in material prices and availability. Our project delivery and construction programs have already ramped up, even as we wait for the federal money to make its way to Vermont. The construction year, we anticipate advertising 1/3 more projects than last season, with the majority of them out in the first 2 quarters. Moving forward, the pressure stays constant as we have 5 years to obligate all the money. I mention this because we need your help. We need your experience, your creativity, and support to not only deliver projects, but do it in a way that focuses on fair labor practices, equity, and inclusion. We must identify and address our blind spots and consciously work with each other on harmonizing the physical needs of our transportation system, but do so in such a way that acknowledges and promotes benefits for all users. Once again, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning. I hope you find the information useful and take the opportunity to ask questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Director Gamble. Everything that you've said, we are going to be embracing and discussing over the course of this morning. We're going to be joined by members of your team in the Highway Division, specifically from the Construction and Materials Bureau, that partner with us and our contractors. And the theme of today is really, we've called the training Gearing Up, and we are all doing that, but it's also about how are we going to all work together and collaborate effectively to make sure that we are able to accomplish all this work, put all these federal funds to good use, rebuild our state, and do so in a way that meets all of the federal expectations and requirements. So I know that we can do it, and we're eager to share with you information about how we're going to work more effectively together. So before we move on, we want to give each of you a chance to introduce yourselves as well. We already have 51 people that have joined the meeting today, and I'm going to go around the room and give folks a chance to say a quick hello. I also know that we have members of our team that are eager to greet you again. We have one new member of our team who's with us that we're going to introduce today. With that, we're going to get started, and I hope it's okay if I call on folks. I'm going to go in alphabetical order. It's arranged in my teams by first name alphabetical order, which means I'm going to be calling on Amy Jo Morse first. And what we're looking for is for you to just tell us your name, what company or organization that you're with, and what's the best thing about spring other than construction season. I will ask for folks to, if possible, if you have a camera and a mic, turn them both on when you're introducing yourself. For those of you who don't have either or both of those, oh, Amy Jo is telling us she doesn't have either one. Amy, no worries. And if you want to just write in the chat pod, that would be great. She works at JPC Card, and you can tell us what the best thing about spring is, if you like, in the chat pod as well. So with that, I will remind folks, if you're not speaking, please try to keep yourself muted since it makes it a lot easier for everybody to hear. For those not so familiar with the Teams environment, across the top bar, it's usually along the top, are all the different navigation tools. So that includes a little microphone that you can click on and off, the camera that you can click on and off, as well as a way for you to raise your hand if you like, using the little hand signal. And there's also a place that's for the chat pod, and you can also see who the participants are next to that. And Amy Jo has reminded us that the best thing about spring is that it means summer's not far behind. Amen, Amy. So with that, we will move down the list real quickly, and we've got Jennifer Morris from Pike Industries, and Jennifer has shared she's the HR manager at Pike Industries, and the best thing about spring is saving money on heat. Again, I think that we would have lots of people agreeing with you, Jennifer. So next up, we have Ashley Pizak. Hi, Ashley.
Good morning. I work with All States Asphalt and Warner Brothers out of Sunderland, and I think the best thing about spring is getting back outside and hopefully playing some baseball and softball. My kids baseball and softball anyway.
Well, that sounds great to me too. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Is anybody else there with you at Allstate?
Not today, no.
Okay. You will do a great job of representing Allstate here. So thank you for being here. And next up, we have Pamela Baker. Hi, Pamela.
It's Pamela Lefebvre. Good morning, everyone. Oh, there is a Pamela Baker. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, well, that's okay. We can never have too many Pamelas. So we're going to go with, we also have a Pamela Cox. So this is the workshop of the Pamelas. If only we had breakout sessions planned. So let's start with Pamela Baker, and the other Pamelas will chime in soon enough, right?
Okay, great. Okay, everybody knows I'm Pamela Baker. I'm with Northeast Paving, previously known as Lane Construction. And the best thing about spring for me is there's more hours in the day, more daylight time.
I love it. So thank you for being here. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Northfield, Mass.
Great. Well, thank you for being here and
Thank you
being
for
one of
having
the
me.
Pamelas. Yes. And next up, we have Becky Weech. Hi, Becky. And not hearing Becky, but maybe she doesn't have a mic.
I don't think she has a mic.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't, she has no mic or camera. So Becky Weech is here and she just typed in the message. I'm not sure where she's from, but maybe she'll let us know.
Okay. This is the seance part of the meeting, but everybody's gotten used to it over the last 2 years, right? So we will wait for that. And next up, we have our old friend Ben Dow from ECI. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Lori, how are you? And
Doing
everyone?
well. Good to see you.
Did I get my camera on? I guess I did. Yeah,
You did.
I'm Ben Dow from Engineers Construction Incorporated. We're up here in Williston, Vermont. What was I also supposed to do? I am the EEO officer here, and I do a lot of different tasks here. A lot of it is the higher end management of the operation. So when we do have civil rights things come up, I enjoy getting involved in it, and I have enjoyed working with your team, Lori and Sonia. The best part about spring for me is welcoming all of our people that come back from layoff, because we're very seasonal, like a lot of us contractors here, and just getting people and greeting them and bringing them back, and then welcoming the new employees that start, and getting everyone together after COVID is going to be great this year, because we're able to get in groups again and plan our work. So.
Indeed, and you will have lots of it from all appearances. So we're looking forward to working with you on all of your projects, Ben, and we appreciate the partnership and your ongoing participation year after year in this workshop. So thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, next up we have none other than Sonia Bovair. So Sonia, you are a stranger to none in this room, but do you want to say a few words of greeting?
Hi, I'm Sonia Bovair, and I think that I've communicated with most of you either via email or on the telephone. And my favorite thing about spring is everything coming to life and color again. So everything's not gray and white. So welcome to the training or the workshop.
Yeah, so love those flowers and all of the colors of spring. And we'll be hearing from you quite a bit over the course of the next couple of hours, right, Sonia?
Yes, and before I put myself on mute, Karen Highland from Chinbro does not have a camera or a mic, and so she just wanted me to let you all know that she's here as well.
That's wonderful, and I'm sure she's glad about all kinds of things that spring has arrived. So thank you, Karen, for being here too. Next up, we have Brandon Stryker. Hi, Brandon.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yes. Brandon Stryker with DeBishop Excavating. We're out of Middlebury, Vermont. I'm the project/office manager for DeBishop. We do all sorts of site work, construction, and recent addition to the VTrans approved contractor list last couple of years. So excited to listen in. And my favorite thing about spring is it's the beginning of firewood and motorcycle season. So
that is true. That is true. So, well, thank you for being here. And your company couldn't have joined the VTrans family at a better time, since we have plenty of work. So we'll try to keep you real busy, okay?
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure. Next up, we have Kathy Truex. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
I'm Kathy Truex. I think I just turned my camera on. We're from Fuller Sand and Gravel down in Danby, Vermont. The best thing about spring is we all can get outside and run and get rid of the treadmill and enjoy baseball and softball. Thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for being here, and thanks to your company as well for all your participation on our projects and stuff. We're really glad that you can be here. George May has, yeah. Other folks are writing in the chat pod, so we'll catch up with them soon. I'm going to keep going down the list. So next up, I have Denise Ms. Beat. I'm probably torturing your name, Denise. My apologies, but welcome. And not hearing you. So if you're talking, you might have to unmute. But if you don't have a mic, no worries. And if you can write in the chat pod, that would be great. Next up, I'm going to be calling on Matt DiGiovanni from Federal Highway, our Vermont Division of Federal Highway. We are so happy, Matt, that you and Larkin can be here this morning, and so grateful for all of the great stewardship that our agency enjoys with Federal Highway, and particularly the Vermont Division. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, Lori. Yeah, we're always happy to join these meetings, and all of your meetings are always very engaging. So I'm Matt DiGiovanni. I'm with Federal Highway in Montpelier, and I typically love skiing in the spring, although this is maybe not the best year. So thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We're glad you can be here, and yeah, it isn't over till it's over, Matt. So there might be some spring skiing in your future after all. Next up, we have Dominique Bizignano. I am not doing at all well with your last name, Dominique.
Hi, good morning. That's okay. Dominique Biziano.
Oh, it's easy for you to say. Right.
I've been saying it for, I'm not going to say how many years, but a long time.
There you go.
I am with Peckham Road, and I am the contract administrator and divisional EEO officer here. And I love hearing the birds chirping in the springtime.
Me too. That morning songbird symphony, it is a wonderful thing. So thank you for being here this morning. We really appreciate it. Next up, we have Mladen Galut. Boy, I should know better, Mladen. I just call you Mladen. You're a one-word name, but you've been such a wonderful friend and partner here at the agency for many years that I should do better with your last name, but welcome. Uh-oh. Mladen may have stepped away, but when he comes back, I'm sure that he will give us a quick welcome. Mladen is the director of the Construction and Materials Bureau of our Highway Division, and we're grateful that he can be joining us today as well. So I know that George May had written into the chat pod his welcome or introduction, and Sonia, is that something that you can quickly access and read out?
Yes, hold on one second. George is with, sorry, my system's a little slow. With Emily and George are with L&D, and their favorite thing about spring is warmer weather and being able to open the windows.
Indeed. Well, glad to have you today, George and company. So next up, we have Josh Hewlett, who we will also be hearing from later on in today's workshop. Welcome, Josh. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Laurie. Yeah, Josh Hewlett, Northwest resident engineer, helping out Laurie and Sonia with some of the presentation today. Best thing I like about spring is I've got a very young family, and I got 2 young boys that are really excited about spring sports. So that'll be on the docket here in the next few weeks. Thank you.
That sounds super. Thanks, Josh. And we'll be circling back to you momentarily. So next up, I think we've already heard from Karen Highland, who does not have a mic, but has introduced herself from Chimbro. So we have Jay Saluski. Hi, Jay.
Hello, how are you, Lori?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm Jay Seliski. I'm with Markowski Excavating here in Florence, Vermont. I am the safety director, and I work with your crew with being the EEOO. So
You are indeed, and we appreciate it and look forward to working with you again this season. So thanks for being here.
us with you too.
Great. Next up, we have Lisa Jean. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, here I am.
There you are.
I work for Chinbro and I am in the Portland, Maine office. And the best thing about spring for me is a lot more opportunities to hike in Maine and New Hampshire in the mountains.
Indeed.
Yes.
So looking forward to
Thank
it
you.
myself. Well, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jill Maxwell. Hi, Jill.
Hi. Can you guys see me?
We sure can.
Okay, hi, good morning. My name is Jill Maxwell. I'm with Hub Foundation Company down in Massachusetts. And we drill through rock. So there really is no beginning of the season for us because we do it all year long. But I'm guessing the people who work, the teams in the field are happy that it's spring just because it's a little easier to work outside. And I agree with everything that everyone has said and would add that I really like Easter candy, the Cadbury eggs. That's a harbinger of spring for me.
It's a wonderful harbinger and right around the corner. So thanks for joining us, Jill.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be able to participate.
Great. Next up, we have Joanne Silway. Hi, Joanne.
Joanne's another one that doesn't have a microphone or camera.
And has she introduced herself or said where she is from?
Joanne Silway is from J. Hutchins.
Well, there you go. So you will be keeping busy this season as well, I'm sure, Joanne. Thank you for joining us today. And next up, we have Kat Waters. Hi, Kat. Kat Waters from Waters Excavation, no mic or camera. And what else? I lost the last part of it, Sonia. So can you read that?
You have to be off mute to talk. Remember that today, folks. Best thing about spring is all the happy birds and getting to put our winter plans into action. She's already looking forward to winter. Well, but that's okay. Everybody likes different things. It's what you get when you live in Vermont, right?
It's true. And also some of us are planners, so we're always looking ahead 6 months or so. So welcome, Kat, and thank you for joining us today. Next up, we have Sierra Lafayette from Pike Industries. Hi, Sierra.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
I am working contracts admin at Pike Industries. I am actually pretty new, so I'm just excited to keep learning and begin my first season. And my favorite thing about spring is the regrowth and sense of rejuvenation that it brings.
That is a wonderful thing. And so, yes, we're so happy to have you here and welcome to Pike and to the industry. And you've come at a very busy time. So we're glad that you could come on board. Next up, we have Lauren from Dirt Tech. Hi, Lauren.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. You're keeping busy too, huh?
Yes, very busy, which is always a good thing. So I'm Lauren with Dirt Tech Company. We're based in Colchester. I would say my favorite thing about spring is additional vitamin D that we can get naturally.
Absolutely. That extra daylight really, really hits the spot. Well, thank you. And thank you for being here. Next up, we have Melinda Kemble. Hi, Melinda. And maybe Melinda is, oh,
there I am.
There you are.
Good morning, everyone. This is Melinda Campbell from Peckham Road. I am the payroll clerk. and we are here in Hudson Falls, New York. And my favorite thing about spring is the kickoff to the barbecue season.
Yeah, these are all great things. I'm so glad you are all giving me wonderful reminders of all the things to look forward to over the next few months. So thank you, Melinda, for being here and joining us today. Next up, we have Mark Cody from Blow and Cody. Hi, Mark. Diane is here for Mark. Well, welcome, Diane. And we're glad you can be here. So next up, I am really excited to be introducing our newest member to the Civil Rights team, Patricia Martin, who goes by Tricia. Thank you for joining us this morning, Tricia. Tricia started with us last week and is already bringing much value added to everything the team is doing. So welcome, Tricia.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Besides starting my new position here at Civil Rights, my favorite thing about spring is the Reese's eggs. So
There
I
you
look
go.
forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Yes, in hot competition with the Cadbury eggs, right? Well, thanks, Tricia. Next up, we have Marzina Zwollen. Hi, Marzina.
Hi there. Can you see me? Oh, there I am.
We can hear
Hi.
you. We can see you.
All right. I work for Vermont Rail System in their finance department. I am their project manager. I'm calling today from Colchester. We're located in Burlington, but working from home still. The things that I like most about spring are the sunshine and tulips.
Two wonderful, bright things. So that's great. Thank you very much for being here today. Next up, we have Michelle Gabbero. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, Lori. I'm fine, thank you. So I don't have a camera. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So I am from G&N Excavation. I'm based out of Bethel, Vermont. And I'm the president of the company, and I wear lots of other hats, but that's the biggie. And my best thing about spring is not having to put on layers and layers and layers of clothing just to go outside.
Yes, indeed. That is so liberating. Well, thank you. And thanks for being here today, Michelle. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
So next up, gives me great pleasure to welcome Colleen Montague, who is another member of the Civil Rights team, as well as the Deputy Director of Civil Rights and the EEO Officer. Hi, Colleen.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Okay, awesome. So good morning. As Lori said, I'm Colleen Montague. My favorite thing about spring is that it's not winter. But no, I do like getting outside and going to soccer games, which is exactly what I'm doing this weekend. So good to see everybody. Yep.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Might need to
I
bring
don't
an
play.
umbrella.
Clarification, I don't play. No, it's beautiful down here. I'm sitting at Merrimack College right now because we're doing college tours on our way. And the sun is shining and it's actually quite pretty. It was very rainy on the way down this morning, but yeah.
Well, good. Long may it last. And glad you can be here for this. So we've heard already from Jennifer Morris. We're going to skip over to Patrick Murphy. Hi, Patrick. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Laurie. Patrick Murphy, work for the Agency of Transportation on the EV charging build out, and happy to sit in on this as it relates to the state planning efforts. So I appreciate that. And like everyone else, I appreciate being able to get outside more during the spring.
Well, that's wonderful. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's great to have you here today. Next up, we have Pamela Cox, one of the Pamelas, right?
Good morning. This
Morning.
is Pam Cox. It's actually Pamela Fave now. It was a recent change. I am from the Vermont Rail System. I work very closely with Marzena. I am the payroll manager and accounts payable specialist. And the best thing I love about Vermont is that I get to plant my garden. And I actually jumped the gun a couple weeks ago and already planted my seeds. And so I've got sprouts going on.
That's very exciting. I assume inside, right?
Oh, Lord, yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Just checking. Well, thank you for being here, Pam, and good luck with the sprouts. Next up, we have Scott Dean. Hi, Scott.
Hi there. I am Scott Dean and I work for Engineers Construction. I do the payroll here, and like everyone else, I am very excited to be able to get out in the sunshine again and ditch the coats.
Indeed. Well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Next up, we have Scott Wertans. Hi, Scott.
Hello, this is Scott Wertans. I'm from Saratoga Railroad Engineering. Normally live in Saratoga Springs, New York, and work in the great state of Vermont, but I'm currently being a snowbird and living in Florida at Vero Beach. But April 18th, we head back Easter weekend to the great Northeast. Although I get to go to Brattleboro on Thursday for a high rail trip with the New England Central Railroad for one of our Vermont projects. Best thing about spring is driving through that great state of Vermont. It's one of my favorite, it is my favorite state.
Well, that's good. We're glad that it's one of your favorite states, and know that you'll keep busy working here in Vermont. So thank you and for joining us today. And next up, we have Sonia Sorensen. Hi, Sonia.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I am the office manager at Champlain Construction in Middlebury. And I think the best thing about spring is getting outdoors to play with my two dogs.
What a good thing. So I see lots of head nodding, including mine. So one of my favorite things too, other than the fact that mud season keeps coming back in the house with them. So
I know, right?
Yeah. Next up, we have Laurel Stone. Hi, Laurel.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. My name is Laurel Stone. I work for Chimbro Corporation. I currently sit in Bloomfield, Connecticut, and I am looking forward to warm weather that spring brings and being able to get outside more.
All of the above, I agree with. So thank you for being here today, Laurel.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Next up, and also from Chimbro, we have Max Hussey. Hi, Mac. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
My name is Max Hussey. I'm the project manager for the North Hero Grand Isle Drawbridge up here in North Hero, Vermont, and working with Chimbro. Looking forward to another good meeting this year, and we appreciate you taking the time and giving us all more introductions. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Mac, for always attending and supporting and participating in these annual efforts and stuff. We really appreciate it. Next up, we have our old friend Suzanne Alden from Kabricki Construction. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
I'm doing well. And when I say old friend, you know I just mean longevity.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm the corporate secretary, EO, DMWB officer for Kabricki Construction. And the thing I like most about spring is the warm weather.
Well said, short and sweet. We can all agree. Thank you for being here, Suzanne. And we're looking forward to working with you and the Kabricki team on lots of projects this season.
Yeah.
And next up, we have Teresa Daigle from JPC Card. Hi, Teresa. Teresa's writing in the chat because she has no mic or camera. And since it disappeared from my screen, I'm going to prevail upon Sonia to tell us.
She works with JPC Card, and spring means I can get out hiking with my family.
So it does. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Teresa. Next up, we have Tom, but not Tom and Tasha. There's two Toms. Maybe, is there another Tom besides Cold River Bridges Tom? Cold River Bridges Tom right now doesn't even look like Cold River Bridges Tom.
We have a Todd Elmer. I don't with Capital Earth Moving. I don't know if he's here, but that is Tanya right there.
I know it's Tanya.
Tom had to run. He had a meeting, but I've been sitting in the background. I just didn't put my name on the list. So, hi, I'm
It's
Tanya
absolute-
from
Go
Coal
ahead.
River Bridges, and I guess my exciting thing for spring is probably getting part of my kitchen back, because when my kids go out for the winter, they come in and just strip all that stuff off, and it just piles up in the kitchen. So I'm ready to get rid of wet, icky boots and snow pants.
Yay.
Of course,
So-
I just pretty much throw them in one of those giveaway bins, because by next year they've outgrown them anyway. So yeah, if anybody needs some snow pants or a winter jacket, let me know.
We will be in touch, Tanya. Glad to have you and Tom and Cold River Bridges participating.
Tom
So
was
thank
here.
you.
He just barely walked out. So
Yeah,
but
we
his
got
favorite thing about spring is that it's finally golf season.
Okay, so he didn't leave to go out golfing?
No.
Did he? Okay,
No,
good.
he had a meeting he had to go to.
Good.
So
well,
Tom
thank you
Elmer,
for being here.
oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Tanya. So Tom Elmer is here. He has no camera or mic.
And he's from Capital Earth Moving,
Yes, he's
right?
from Capital Earth Moving. Yep.
And he said something about springtime in what he wrote in the
Long
chat.
summer drives around the state.
There you go. Well, that sounds great. Thank you, Tom, for being here as well. And next up, we have Ursula Boehringer. Hi, Ursula.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How
my
are
name is
you?
Ursula. I'm sorry?
I said, just how are you?
Oh, good, thank you. I'm the controller at Engineers Construction. I've been here about 5.5 years, and I love everything about spring. So, yeah.
Well, that is apparent from the aviary that we see you in, so
Oh,
it's a good
yeah.
thing. Love your background. So
Thank you.
thanks for being here today. Next up, we have Angela Waite. Hi, Angela. There you are.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't had a couple meetings, today, so it's like I'm just trying to wake up, I guess. I'm Angela Waite. I'm from Albany, New York, the Gorman Group, and you're probably used to working with Linda too. She's actually going to retire at the end of this year, yeah. So I don't know if I should have shared that. Maybe she wanted to share it with you, but that's out of the bag, so I'm taking over for her. So I'm learning all the ropes and everything. So if you see my name on emails and things like that, I'm just trying to do my best. I had a crash course last year, so I'm just trying to learn everything. And I know I'll make mistakes, but that's to be expected. But I'm here and willing to learn. And my favorite thing about spring is the rejuvenation and blooms and the flowers and everything, and just being outside more. So I'm very excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. Congratulations. And please give our best to Linda on her impending retirement. We will miss her, but we're happy to greet you.
Yeah,
And she's a
she's
great
actually on
teacher.
vacation this week, so that's why she said, you go to the meeting. So, but yes, I will send my best to her, and I'm sure she'll be in touch soon.
That
The
sounds
seasons always
great.
seem to go by so quickly, so it seems like, 6-7 months down the road is going to go by in a blink of an eye. So
It's a busy time of year, so welcome, Angela, to your new role, and we'll look forward to working with you. Next up, we have Larkin Wellborn, also from the Vermont Division of Federal Highway. Hi, Larkin. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Larkin Wellborn. I am the construction and materials engineer with the Vermont Division of Federal Highways. Always grateful for y'all to put on this workshop for everybody, because even me as a federal employee, it helps to at least once a year hear some of these things. But yeah, for spring, I am grateful for eventually getting out to garden, some big home improvement projects, including a new kitchen and new windows after having ice inside the windows this year in January. And I'm looking forward to creamies.
What a good thing to look forward to. I can't believe we've
course.
gotten to the W's before anybody mentioned creamies. How could that be? All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thanks for being here. And next up, we have Tammy Williams from Pike Industries. Hi, Tammy.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Tammy Williams from Pike Industries. I am the contracts administrator. And what do I enjoy? I'm going to say something I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy the insects of spring and summer coming, but I'm ready for the sunshine and to be on the lake.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm sure the good will outweigh the bad, and we're so happy to have you here today. And in addition to you is also Kristen Walnowski. A little tortured, that one, also from Pike. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, good morning, Lori. Yep, you did pretty well. It's Kristen Winalski. I work for Pike Industries and Human Resources. My favorite part of spring, I will say, is the regrowth of everything and the sunshine. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. We're really glad you could be here with your coworkers, and we saved maybe the best for last. Last up, at least on my list, is Kara Yelnick, also from our construction section. So hi, Kara.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Carrie Yelenick. I'm in the Northwest Construction, sitting in for Josh's presentation this morning. And my favorite thing about spring is all the extra daylight we start to get. Gives me lots of time to get lots of fun stuff in after work.
I know, we can get to squeeze in a lot more stuff. So thank you for being here, Kara, and thank you one and all for opening up and sharing what you most are looking forward to in this upcoming spring season besides construction. And with that, Sonia's going to share something.
I was just going to say, did we give Jana a chance to introduce herself?
No, Jana's listening in, but she's not feeling that well, and I don't think is able to share. So that's why I didn't call on Jana, but it's okay. So we are very, very pleased that the Director of Finance and Administration, my boss, Jana Morse, is joining us for today's presentation and is taking it all in and is here with us. So with that, is there anyone else who wrote in the chat pod that we haven't actually shared what they said? If not, we're exactly at time and we're going to be moving on to our next section. How's it looking, Sonia?
I can't. Okay, I'm having trouble. Josh is going to share his screen and start the presentation.
Well, that sounds great. So as I mentioned earlier, we are really, really blessed to have one of our best partners from our construction section joining us for today's workshop, Josh Hewlett, who introduced himself a little while ago. Josh indicated that he is a resident engineer in the Northwest region of our construction section. He wears many, many hats. He's also a supervisor. He usually has no shortage of projects, quite a few going all at once, day and night, manages to juggle it all and make it look easy. But in addition to all of that, he's also been a big champion and helped to implement Doc Express. Doc Express is a system that if you're not already familiar with it, you'll be hearing much more about it. Particularly over this season coming up. For most of our prime contractors, you're already living in there. And for all of us in civil rights, we're really happy to be coming in there. So I know a few years back, Josh had suggested to me that wouldn't Doc Express be a great place to start collecting and reviewing and approving all of the certified payroll submissions. And I was like, I don't know. Do we really need to do that? Boy, I'm the first one to admit when I missed the boat, and Josh was absolutely right. And so we are going to be sharing with you a little bit about the journey that we've had in civil rights since reason prevailed and we joined the Doc Express Club starting last year with a pilot project. And I'm so grateful to you, Josh, and to your colleagues, Bill Farley and Kara and others in the construction section for helping us to build a portion of our civil rights program that can work in Doc Express so well. It is a win-win-win situation, as you'll all be hearing about. And Josh is going to take us a little bit more on a deep dive and explain what that's all about. And I guess I'll stop talking and take it away, Josh.
Why, thank you, Lori. I appreciate the introduction. We put this little presentation together. I would say it took a few months to put together, but we put it together in a couple hours now. I'm being modest, but so yes, like Lori said, I'm Joshua. I introduced myself before. I've been working in Doc Express since we implemented it, half a dozen years ago. And we mainly just used it for a document storage and processing of our submittals in construction itself. And then we started to see the value in it, in managing our documents. And when we started to get into it, full depth, it was perfect opportunity for our payrolls. I've been around long enough to realize or remember when the payrolls were mailed to us as resident engineers to our homes, and we would get envelopes full of paperwork. And it's transpired to you folks submitting it to the FTP site. And then we just kind of looked at it as how can we minimize effort and maximize our output. So the presentation that I'm going to put together here is, this will be an overview of the civil rights drawer that was added to Doc Express in July during the 2021 season, and is now included in most contracts in 2022. If there are any questions during this presentation, I'd ask you to put them in the chat pod, or at the conclusion of the presentation, we will release the mics for all to ask questions at the end of the presentation. I encourage everyone to ask as many questions as you are looking for. At this time, the process is set up for our primes. They are still receiving those payrolls from their subs to upload them. Down the road in the future, there is the possibility where it could be where your subcontractors upload those certified payrolls into the system. But at this point, we're just not there yet. With that, I guess I'll take off here. So, as Lori mentioned, and it was Lori came out to see us on a project I had with Pike Industries on 117 years ago, and introduced the Doc Express. And she said, "Oh, we're not really interested. We have a pretty good system now." Well, lo and behold, what she didn't know is I was working with Sonia in the background to kind of push the system and sell it to Sonia, because it was just something that we could reduce effort on our resident engineers, and reduce what we thought potential reduction in time for our contracting partners. It came to a certain point that we just felt that it could work. So in 2001, we put together a pilot project with 3 projects. We just focused on the civil rights payrolls, the certified payrolls. And the pilot went pretty well. We picked one project from each region, different contractors, and different scopes of projects, because we just wanted to see what could happen out of it. In just a couple months into the program, I got a call from Sonia, and she said, I feel that the process is going very well, and some of the contractors that were part of it, seem to enjoy the process. So we looked at 4 additional projects that we added in June of 2021, and it worked seamlessly at that time. And we said, why don't we open it up to not just certified payrolls, but let's look at the OJT request process and the OJT weekly reports. Let's see if that can transition into something that we could utilize. And it worked well from our standpoint, because the contractors could just submit to one location. We didn't have to worry about emails. Everyone could view the information that had the right to review that information. With the drawer, there is some privacy information that is restricted so that not everyone can view it. So with that being said, in July of 1, all contracts that were advertised with a certain special provision, which it's the special provision in our contracts, the notice of bidders for electronic documentation management. It's typically around special provision number, between 9 and 11, 9 and 15 in all our construction contracts. If that special provision is in your contract, then we are looking for all certified payrolls to be submitted to Doc Express within the civil rights drawer starting in July of 2021. So the documents that we'll be looking for. To start with, we said, yep, we're going to go with the civil rights, with the certified payrolls. So we're still actively, all the processing of those payrolls are done within the document storage, within the system itself. All contracts now advertised as of January 1, 2022 will have all the documents listed here. Typically, a lot of this was done offline through email directly to civil rights. Well, what we are asking now is that all these documents be submitted to the civil rights drawer exclusively with any projects that went out to bid on January 1st. This will help out with our management of these documents. An example that I would like to kind of talk about is our payrolls. When we are submitting our payrolls to this, it's kind of a change from what has been past practice with the FTP site. Past years, the fringe benefits would be submitted possibly with its own document within that system. So what we are asking for now is when those certified payrolls are submitted, each submission will include the fringe benefits for that. That can either be attached to that as a document within an all-encompass document, or when you upload it to Doc Express, it can be a supporting document to that submission. What this allows us to do as an agency and as a partner with our contractors is it allows us to be more transparent. You have that? I'm getting some feedback here.
Yeah, I think we just had Karen join us, and I just unmuted her. I just muted her, rather.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Thank you, Karen, for joining.
So what this allows us, like I said, there's transparency, there's accountability, there's effective correspondence, remote access. We can access this platform from our computers, from our tablets, from anywhere basically in the world that we have an internet access. It's a web-based program. We're maximizing our efforts, increasing, like I said, our accessibility. The big ones that we've been struggling with in past years is our progress tracking. Where are we? Where are we with our reviews? Where are we with our USDOL reclassification of additional classifications? Where is that process going on? Not only with civil rights, but when are we going to hear something back from USDOL? And consolidating the location. The part about consolidating the location is the bottom four documents were the EEO policy, the harassment policy, and there's a few other policies. Typically, contractors would only submit those policies once every year. What we are looking for is those be submitted, per project, so that if there are desk reviews that happen on a project, we have all that information in one location. And now that might reduce the correspondence, not that I'm trying to reduce correspondence between civil rights and our contractors, but it might help alleviate some of the back and forth where we can maximize and you folks can maximize your time with your other roles that you have within your teams. So the roles. This is something, you know, that I wanted to throw in this presentation, and it's pretty important. When Doc Express is set up, it is a subscription that both the agency subscribes to and the contracting community subscribes to. It is a program that is from Infotech. So we purchased the subscription. I don't want to go into all how that works. But when we program a project, we provide access to the contractor in that project. With that, we do not manage the contractor's permissions. So, when a contractor is provided the subscription, they need to choose who those managers are and who the users of their account is. And with that being said, a manager can view all documents. That should be someone like the CEO or president of the company or the EO officer. It should not be perhaps a project manager or a superintendent that has the manager role. The reason for that is, like I was saying, a manager can see all documents, but a user, when they submit just to the civil rights drawer, can only see the documents that they submit. So if there is a certified payroll that is submitted, not just a user can't go in and see what it is. And I'm kind of falling down on how that's supposed to be said, but the civil rights payroll is a private document, and not just anybody can see that document. It should be a person that is supposed to view it, not someone that's not. Lori, do you want to touch on that anymore?
No, I think you're doing a great job, Josh. And, you know, we have all kinds of sensitive documents that do get submitted in order for contractors and subcontractors to meet all of their federal highway, civil rights, and labor compliance requirements. I think Doc Express is great in that it provides a system for setting up administrative privileges so that the people who need to have access to documents do, and the people who don't need to have access to documents don't have to worry about it. It's not going to be cluttering things up for them either. And in that way, we're able to maintain the confidentiality of certain documents, just as that was intended. So it's kind of ideal in that sense.
Thank you. And this is a slide that I threw in here just to show our partners of where that management takes place. This is just a screenshot of what I took out of our agency, and you can see that our three managers are high-level managers. They are someone within our agency that can provide and see sensitive information. The users below are individuals that should not be seeing our sensitive information, or they can still submit and see in other drawers. Just within the civil rights drawer, they cannot see the sensitive information. Now, the roles of civil rights and our agency folks. So in years past, when contractors were submitting to our FTP site, Sonia would directly go in and divvy up where all those certified payrolls went, or any other documents, and send them out to, you know, construction to do the review. And then construction would do their review, and they would send them back to Sonia. So the way that we have mimicked what we do in Doc Express is no different than what we've done. It's just kind of reducing the effort of physically clicking on the FTP site, going in and hoping that you cut and paste all the documents into the respective directories. Within this system, no moving of documents have to take place. It is all automated, and it's nothing that we will fall down or miss. It shouldn't get missed. Our construction staff has a limited role, and in that role is still, they will continue to do the RE verification. And in years past, everyone submits their certified payroll or documents, and they're hoping they're free from error. In this case, if there are potential errors with a certain payroll, you folks will get a notification of what that is instead of having to wait for Sonia to pass that along. Once something is found to be amiss or there is a question, that will be notified back to you, which is a highlight of this process, is the verifications. Also, it provides digital and remote access to our construction staff on required documents. And what I mean by that is, years past, the USDL requests, we may not know where they are in process, or we aren't sure of what the harassment for the company is, and if we have seen it or if we have to report it. We kind of want to know what that is as field staff in case we have to document that. Not saying it's happened, but it's nice to have the information at our fingertips. This also allows FHWA to do any remote access of project reviews. They have reviews as well that they need to do, and at least this provides them a one-stop shop of where to review those documents. Now, this here is the discussion of when you folks are submitting to Doc Express. And there's two important things that we need to remember, is the thread title and the thread types. Titles or thread names, that is what a document will be named within the Civil Rights Drawer. This is not the original file name of your contractor's file name. Your initial naming convention does not need to change. So what I mean by that is your file names that you receive from your own accounting or from your subcontractors, you do not need to change your file names. They can stay what they need to be. But the thread name, when you submit that document, shall be named in accordance with our document storage matrix that I'll talk about. The titles, like I said, shall conform to that DSM, and that DSM is outlined in the VTrans guidance for contractors and suppliers in Appendix A. And further through this presentation, I'll provide you a link and show you where that can be located. Now, types are similar to the tags that you may find in other apps, such like Facebook. Each contractor that has worked for on our projects in the last 5 years has their own type. So this screen caption that I show here is L&D has their own type. So when a prime contractor or a subcontractor is submitted and that payroll is for them, the type of that contractor has to be listed within that submission. If there is a contractor missing, if a contractor submits a payroll and there is a type for that contractor missing, please reach out to your resident engineer or the regional staff of that region that you are in, because potentially that contractor has yet to be registered with our state, or it might just be that we missed it, or they have not worked in the state in the last 5 years. The last part of this is this file name. This is what I was saying, that the agency doesn't, at this time, we don't worry about that file name. That is your own internal file name. You don't need to change it. You can upload it with whatever file names you have. I know in years past when you uploaded things to the FTP site, you had to change it to week endings and include what contractor it was for. Here, it does not matter to us what that file name is at this time. So I was talking about the guidance. Where is the guidance that I keep talking about? So within Doc Express, there is something called the working drawer. The working drawer houses a bunch of documents, sometimes 10 documents, sometimes 25 documents. Well, within this is where the contractor and the agency can collaborate between. But we also put in there supporting documents and guidance documents. So in here, there's something called the Contractor's User Manual. And as soon as you click on that thread link, it will take you to a PDF file that you'll have to download, and then there'll be a link on that. That link will take you to this document, and this is the document on the left of your screen. It's called the Doc Express VTrans Guidance for Contractors and Suppliers. Within that document, it will provide all the guidance that you need for submitting a submission to Doc Express. It'll also auger into examples of what each type, what a USDOL request needs to look like and what types need to be on it. The DSM that I talk about is in Appendix A. This DSM includes all the documents that can be or could be submitted on any given project. It also provides naming examples and what types should be submitted with that document. Doc Access resources. We just talked about the contractor's user manual and what that is for, all basic questions. Also, some resources that for submission of documents is our Civil Rights Labor Compliance Manual for Contractors. It's a valuable tool for what is needed for submitting. Also, if there are missing types and you're just not getting what you need, you can reach out to our AOT Doc Express help team. And what this email address does is it goes to a handful of us that are on that team, and we can provide additional help or provide additional, add types or add contractors or general questions, what you need. Then there is something called the Doc Express help. Now, we've gotten a few phone calls in the past from contractors that were having a difficult time logging into Doc Express. Can you fix it? And our answer back is, have you contacted Infotech? And they are the owners of Doc Express. And Infotech is the ones that can help correct someone's subscription to Doc Express. Like I said before, Doc Express manages your accounts into the system. The agency administers the projects and assigns you folks to the projects that you're on. With that being said, I went through that pretty quick. I'm open to any questions. I know Sonia's here, and I know Kara's on the line to provide any comments of what I've done, or any questions you have. Off the top of my head, this system or this program that we've shown to you folks does not change what we do every day with payrolls. It's just taking what we did in the FTP site and uploaded files and just put it into a system that's helping us manage that. And everyone can see what is taking place that has the permission to see it. With that, I'm done.
Well, thank you so much, Josh. So, so far we don't have any questions in the chat pod, but let's open it up and see if folks do have questions. You've done a great job of outlining not only what the process looks like and feels like and what that user experience is going to be like for those who haven't started using it yet, but also you've touched on some of the great win-win-win situations. And for us, I was not an early adopter, but I'm sure a big fan right now because I see so much value here. Over the last couple of years, we have been very much encouraged to go as paperless as possible and be sharing as much as possible electronically. That's been something that Civil Rights has been working on, trying to collect all of our documents and data electronically for many years. So, we have a lot of reporting systems. Some of them are contractor based on the web that all of you enter certain information over the course of the year for the prompt pay system or for your EEO reporting each year when we do that. This whole system in Doc Express, while it's a document storage and management system, really provides this great opportunity for all of us to as Josh said, one-stop shopping, and it is a repository, but it's also a great way for us to all communicate with each other. As civil rights is deploying information, it's a way for us to all be proactive. And we don't have to wait until we get a notice of a pre-construction. We can be uploading things into the system as soon as the contract is awarded and signed. So there's so many different benefits, and particularly as we all look for ways that we can be more effective with a higher volume of projects and not be interrupting each other so much and not be communicating in many different platforms. We're really, really enthusiastic and grateful that Doc Express is going to be a home to us for so many of our processes, right? So we do have a question in the chat pod for you, Josh. Becky wants to know, do I understand you correctly that only the prime contractor is uploading payrolls at this time, not subcontractors?
That is correct. It's still the prime contractors are responsible for uploading those payrolls for the foreseeable future. I do not see that changing in the next few years, but you know, we never thought we would be doing civil rights in Doc Express right now. So at this time, it is still the responsibility of the prime contractor to upload those documents.
It's true, but I think for the subcontractors, there's an additional benefit that comes with some of the transparency and accountability functions of Doc Express. First of all, everybody's getting notified as those payrolls are getting submitted. If we catch an error or have a question about it, we can transition it and get the information and get it right much more quickly than the previous system. But also, Sonia's going to be describing a tracking system. So at last year's training, some of our prime contractors commented that they sometimes had a hard time, if they were in the office, knowing which subcontractors had been working on the project the previous week and that they should be looking for subcontractor certified payrolls from. This system has a tracking system in there so that our prime contractors can be keeping tabs on that and can be working with the subs to make sure that everything gets submitted timely. So I don't mean to have a spoiler alert for you, Sonia, but figured I would throw it in there. Any other questions for Josh or Kara? Teresa has a question.
So no, subs do not receive notifications from Doc Express. It's mainly for the primes, unless the prime provides an associate account to your prime to access your account. I would shy away from that at this time. But yeah, to answer your question, no, the subs do not receive notifications.
I think that what Lori was referring to is if we find if there's an issue with a sub payroll, we can reject it right away and the prime gets the notification and they can quickly fix it. Where in the past, sometimes that could take a little bit longer because of the way we were processing the payroll. So if there's no other questions for Josh, we can move on to the next part of the presentation. Josh, do you want to continue driving or do you want me to share?
I was going to let you share on this if you don't mind.
Nope, I don't mind at all, so I'll just take over.
So hopefully we've whet everybody's appetite about Doc Express, and Sonia's going to take a slightly deeper dive and go through some of the different things that we're already doing or are in the works.
Sorry, I'm just trying to start the slideshow. I wasn't prepared.
I think you're in the right place, Sonia. You just...
That's fine. Here we go. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody can hear me. Everybody turned to an avatar, so it's kind of weird for me. They're just, so where did everybody go? So I'm going to touch on a little bit or add on to what Josh was talking about our transition to Doc Express and some of the other different ways that we are doing business. And some of you have already started doing this, but we, in the working drawer that Josh was talking about earlier, we have started uploading this document called the Civil Rights Compliance Requirement Document. This document replaces the 4-page pre-construction letter, the contractor compliance crash course. It's kind of like a one-stop shopping for our contractors. It also includes live links to the posters. So it's going to be required that all prime contractors go to the working drawer and print off their posters and from this document. And then after they print them up and have them up, a photo of the poster board is required to be uploaded to the civil rights drawer for our review. And if all doesn't look okay, we'll reject it and we'll ask you to resubmit it. But this will save some time for everybody, especially the resident engineers who are having to do it before. So hopefully, it'll be a smoother, process for all involved. And then as Lori was mentioning earlier, the payroll sub-tracker. We developed this last year in response to your request and for our own internal processes to keep better track of where things are at out in the field. So, if you, as the prime contractor processing payroll, you're not sure who's been on site, this payroll sub-tracker document is in the working drawer, and you are allowed to go in there and take a peek at it and see if L&D's been on site or if NICOM's been on site, but we haven't received payroll. And that will help you, streamline that process with them so you can try to stay on top of it as well as we are. And then as Josh mentioned, that I'm going to say this early and often throughout the training or the workshop, is that the contractor's user manual for Doc Express is really, really important. And we actually copied a link to that into the chat earlier. And at the end of the training, in a couple of days, we'll follow up with an email letting you all know, an email with all these links, sorry. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. So in the civil rights drawer, as Josh said, there's going to be the collection and review of certified payrolls and collection and review of job site posters, as I already indicated, and then the US DOL authorization of additional classification rate request and response. Now, I know some of you are still doing this outside the system, and that's okay. We're kind of just doing a slow move into this right now because none of you were aware that this was supposed to be happening, and so this is kind of like the spotlight on that today, introducing that to all of you. So you're going to now upload those requests to the civil rights drawer, and then I will review them. And if there's any issues with it, again, it'll be kicked back to you to fix, and then I will sign it and send it on to the US DOL. Once we receive response back from the US DOL, I will upload it to that same thread. So it'll be there, and you will, everybody will have access that needs access to it for the project. So then there will be no confusion about where is it at. Many of you know in the past, the US DOL, especially during COVID, got extremely backlogged. They were having the same issues that the rest of us were having. People out, people leaving their jobs. So they were behind, but for the most part, I believe they're caught up and they're turning them around pretty quickly. So if for some reason they come back and a higher rate is stipulated, then restitution is going to need to be paid. And that is going to mean that you're going to have to send a revised payroll and proof of restitution. And that should be sent as one document. And this is all outlined in our labor compliance manual for contractors. So, and I'm always going to be here as a resource for you. But then, so it'll be uploaded to that same thread that you submitted the original payroll to. And it's also outlined in the manual for the VTrans guidance for contractors and suppliers, sorry. And then I'm going to let Lori chat briefly about the OJT forms, if you don't mind.
Sure, I would love to chime in. I've been actually pasting into the chat pod, for those of you who have access to the chat, the links to the various documents that Sonia's been describing. So we've been pleased that starting last season, a lot of the on-the-job training forms and documents that ordinarily would be submitted by the contractors when you have an on-the-job trainee on the project have started getting submitted and reviewed through Doc Express. That's particularly true with respect to the enrollment form as well as the weekly progress report. And that's such a valuable tool for us because it helps us to monitor the progress of your on-the-job trainees. At the height of the season, we sometimes have as many as, 20 to 25 on-the-job trainees working around the state. And so that on-the-job weekly progress report is a really great tool for us to be able to not only keep track of the hours that they're putting in for the various different components of their training, but also any other comments. It helps us to troubleshoot. And it also reminds us that there's a dialogue that's going on between the trainee and their supervisors. So from our perspective, getting those early and often is great, but it's also helpful for the contractor as well, because it's the way in which you're showing that you're meeting your contractual obligation and also getting reimbursed at whatever rate you had put in your bid documents for 634.10. I'm about to lose my voice, so I'm passing the mic right back to you, Sonia.
Thank you, Lori. So Josh already touched on the collection and review of the EE forms and policies. As he indicated, this is going to, be a much easier process for all of us. We're going to ask contractors to upload their EO policies, their sexual harassment policies per contract, not per contractor. Does that make sense? So it's going to happen for every project that that you're working on. And this will it's going to become easy peasy for you after a while. You're going to do it a couple times and you're just going to know that this needs to be added to the civil rights drawer once you've started your project. We'll work with you on that. Again, this is all going to be outlined in our manual. So, it's going to be so much easier. One-stop shopping for everything. All of our documents are going to be in Doc Express, and it's going to be so much manageable for everybody to keep track of where things are at. So the next slide, I want to just remind you all that not all projects are in Doc Express. Some of you might already be aware of this. Like if you're working on an IDIQ project with our maintenance bureau, those projects are not in Doc Express. So those projects will still use the old system of getting an email from me with links to the posters, and payrolls will have to be submitted through the FTP site. My hope and dream is that someday those projects get added to Doc Express, but we'll take baby steps. There are some IDIQ projects that are being administered by our construction section that will be in Doc Express. And the best way to find out if the project's in Doc Express is to refer to your contract documents. It'll say in the special provisions, what the document management is. So please refer to those early and often. And then the Davis-Bacon wage rates, you're going to notice that we're not sending you copies of the wage rates that are applicable to the project. You're going to have to refer to your contract documents again on those. It helps avoid any confusion or error, making sure that the right rates are being incorporated in your poster package, and those are the rates that you're using to pay your employees. So I can't stress enough, just refer to your contract documents. And if you don't have access to those, please, work with the person that does. They're actually in Doc Express, but I'm not sure that I don't know, maybe Josh can answer this. All people that are in Doc Express have access to it, but I'll let him.
I can touch on that. Yes, the contractor's personnel have access to that contract drawer where it is listed with a contract. So that is listed there for them to view.
Thank you, Josh. So Here is the labor compliance Davis-Bacon, a labor compliance manual for contractors that we built this winter. It's a it's a great tool resource for all different types of scenarios. You can go in there and look, all these processes that we're talking about today. I wish I had it open because then I could touch on it a little bit, but it can talk about typical issues that we may find with payroll when we're on site visits with the posters. It'll walk you through a lot of these processes, as I said, that we're talking about today. What to do for a USDOL request. I mean, some of you, a lot of you are, worked with us for a long time, so you know the process. But as we're gearing up for the busiest construction seasons forever, it feels like it's going to be, you're not, and we're going to be getting more contractors on board. So this manual will help hopefully answer any questions you have about our processes. But when in doubt, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'll be happy to help you in any way that we can. We did have some updated wage rates. There wasn't a huge change to them, mostly just the date and some change to the executive order that is not applicable to our contractors. The biggest thing is that there was a couple labor rates that jumped up in Franklin County and Grand Isle County. You'll notice if you're in those counties that there's two labor rates, and one's extremely high and one's more applicable to the other rates you'll see throughout the state. And that's the one that we're recommending that our contractors use. There was an error on the USDOL's part on this one. They included the labor rate we feel for heavy or for heavy, I can't draw a blank, but contract for rates that don't apply to us, pretty much. So when in doubt, just reach out. I'm happy to answer that question for you if you're not sure which rate you should be paying. We also have updated our website a little differently. I've gotten some feedback from a lot of you that sam.gov is not very user-friendly, and I agree. So we've made it a lot simpler. We've put the rates, links to the rates for highway, heavy, and building on our website, and Lori's going to pop a link into the chat where you can easily access the rates that you need. If you have a question or not sure, if you want to bid on a project, but I want you all to keep in mind, for those on the call that are doing the bidding, you should always refer to the proposal. So then that way, you're staying consistent for what it was included in there. Then I think I got that. Oh, I'm gonna invite Lori or even maybe Matt to jump in on the USDOL proposed update to Davis-Bacon. Davis-Bacon has been around, I think, 1973, 1975, and there has not been much of a change at all. And they are now proposing an update to that. So I don't know, Lori, do you want to add anything to this, or Matt, did you want to chime in? They're requesting comments on this. Go ahead, Lori. I'll let you read.
Well, I'm happy to chime in and also invite Matt if he wants to, since he's been keeping us updated. This is something that's fairly recent that really for the first time in about 40 years, the U.S. Department of Labor is going to be potentially substantially revising the Davis-Bacon wage rates. So as we know, this is something that's been around with us and that we've been living with for almost 100 years. And there's been very few changes to Davis-Bacon over the years, even though how we do business has changed significantly and how federal construction projects get awarded, managed, etc. I think that, so this past week, I think it was exactly a week ago today, a notice of these changes was posted in the Federal Register. There is a 60-day comment period. I've posted in the chat pod. So I believe we have until May 17th within which to submit our comments. And we're still digesting this, but there's a pretty good executive summary overview at the beginning of the notice that kind of describes the changes. Based on past experience, once the comment period closes, we anticipate it would probably be another 3 to 6 months before we actually get the official rule changes from USDOL. So we'll have enough time to gear up for this. It probably won't impact very much this coming season. Whatever changes do get made will only be applicable to projects that get advertised and awarded after the changes go into effect. I think that from our perspective, we're not sure what the impact is going to be specifically in Vermont. We're not a state that's had frequent prevailing wage surveys conducted by U.S. Department of Labor over the last 15 years or so. In fact, when the new wage rates came out a couple of years ago in 2020, based on a 2017 prevailing wage survey, that was the first time in almost 10 years that we had seen a change to our prevailing wages, particularly for the highway wage rates. So we're not really sure what to expect about this, but we're hopeful that it's going to promote more efficiency. And with that, I'm not sure, Matt, if you want to add anything to that.
No comments. It'd be interesting to see how it will impact Vermont. We can go years at a time without any real substantive changes in Vermont. We do get wage rate updates roughly every January, but yeah, it's more to see. I encourage everyone to go and look at the link that Lori put in there. But in general, it's unclear right now. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for keeping us up to date, Matt. We really appreciate it. And as you look at this, and feel free to send in your comments. I think a lot of our contractors are familiar with some of the frustrations of trying to sometimes work within Davis-Bacon whole wage system. It's something that we try to do our best to minimize what some of those headaches are. And we've got a pretty good system going with respect to the additional wage classifications. Over the last year, Sonia has started posting all of the additional wage classifications or concurrence that we've received from USDOL for the last 3 years, so that you can go in, if you do have laborers that are working in a classification that's missing from your wage decision, you don't have to scratch your head and wonder at what you should be proposing. You can at least see what USDOL has approved over the last 3 years in that classification in your region or county. And that's usually a good insight into a good starting point. About 80% of the wage of the proposed additional wage classifications that you, our contractors, come up with are approved by U.S. Department of Labor. About 20% of them get rejected, and U.S. Department of Labor comes back with a different rate, usually higher, and then we deal with it. I think the most important thing is that over the years we've recognized really important to get on this early so that you don't build up a stretch of time when somebody is not being paid in according to an approved rate. And Sonia, you might want to weigh in on that one.
Yeah, I would love to weigh in on this because guardrail installers and line stripers, I feel like they took those away in most counties or in all of them in one instance, but or just as soon as you can get those requests submitted, so then we can, get that sent to the USDOL, and then we're not waiting a whole season because they get busy just like we do, waiting for them to respond, and then you're paying someone, the wrong rate. I always suggest that you pay the rate you're requesting, because then that way, hopefully it comes back and it's approved. And then if it's not, then, we'll go from there. But early and often, as soon as you are awarded your contract, take a peek and then, send that request in through Doc Express now, by the way. I'm going to put that plug in there.
Well, I think that's going to be a time saver as well. So instead of people having to try to figure out, what's the email address and where do I send this and everything else, everything will be going submitted to us through Doc Express. When we hear back from U.S. Department of Labor, we'll notify through Doc Express. And I think that'll be a great way for everybody to stay on top of it when we all get so busy.
Agreed.
Yeah, we're excited to be operating in this somewhat new environment for us and think it'll be great all around. So Sonia's referred to the new labor compliance manual. I think that I've posted the link to it into the chat pod at least 3 times since we started today. But we've also had an opportunity to update some of our other forms and resources, and want to make sure that folks know about those as well. So I am going to paste into the chat pod links to each of these different documents, but in general, we would encourage all of you, whether you're a prime or a sub or just sometimes working with us on our construction projects, to check out the information in general in our contractor center, because there's a wealth of information there. And most of it is designed specifically to get you the information that you need as quickly as possible, whether it's in a manual, a guide, a cheat sheet, or whatever. Some of the documents that are referenced on this slide are ones that we've created or updated pretty recently. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly put on here. The VTrans EEO toolkit was something that Sonia and her coworkers had created a couple of years ago, and it has been updated for this year as well. The contractor compliance review kit is another one that was updated, I believe, for this year, but was originally created and given a big overhaul last year. We also have our document that Colleen will be talking about in a few minutes, and it's the hiring and retaining a diverse workforce, which is obviously a big topic for all of us these days, right? So everybody is focused on recruitment and retention, and we believe that that particular guide is a good one, not just if you're trying to hire for a diverse workforce, which we hope you are, but in general, it's got some great links and resources to how do you go about finding folks to be working in our industry here in Vermont, and whether you're doing it on social media or through working with the state's Department of Labor or any other sources. So I'm not having any luck. I think I must have exceeded my maximum of what I can post in chat, but that's okay. I'll quickly touch on some of the other ones. Most importantly, we wanted to make sure you have the who you're going to call updated one. So Sonia, if you can post in chat the link to that one, that would be great. It does include our most recent addition to the team, Trisha, but it gives all of you an idea. This is who the team is in civil rights, and here's who you should call for specific with specific questions. So unfortunately, she's not able to join us today, but Karen Brulette will continue to be managing our on-the-job training program, as well as CDL and other types of skill-based training. So we encourage you to work with her. We also have, thanks, Sonia. We also have the rest of us based on the areas of focus that we have. So I'm going to quickly turn things over to Colleen, and then we'll open it up for questions that you have. And Teresa has a question. She says, I may have heard you incorrectly, but did you say there was a link to information that contractors can view to see the wage rates?
Yes, and I'll put that link
Yeah.
in. I'll put it in there, Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa, it so happens that Jason was instrumental in encouraging us to do this. It's a tool that New Hampshire DOT has been using for a few years. He brought it to our attention. We really liked it, and Sonia worked on it and created a place on our website. So, and it gets updated about once a month, especially during the busy time of year. So it would be great for those of you who are interested in that to bookmark it. It is a really helpful one. So I'm going to quickly turn things over to Colleen, who's joining us. She's our EEO officer as well as deputy director, and she also manages our agency's talent acquisition, pipeline, and onboarding, but works with our contractors as well to diversify their workforce. So hi, Colleen.
Good morning. Can you hear me again?
Sure
Just making
can.
sure. All right. I'm going to try and share, Sonia. I think I can. Are you seeing this? Hold on, let me just get to the top. I apologize for making everybody nauseous. I was looking at this in the background and forgot to put it back to the top page. All right, can you see that, Lori and Sonia?
We can
Yes.
see it. It's almost at the top page. It's still a little bit in the middle.
Oh, it's showing top for me. All right. Well, I think also, Lori, we're going to send a lot of the links that you have pasted into chat. We're going to send as a separate document. So people will have those if you haven't gathered them, because I know we're throwing a lot at you. So this document, it is on the website. It's hiring, retaining a diverse workforce. I'll try not to scroll up through it too fast. But in general, it's giving you, Lori already alluded to this, it's giving you some tips. It's giving you resources, and then don't forget that we can also be a resource. But just how it's sort of laid out is there's some preparation. It's just educating yourself. You know, it's all we all want to be seen as this employer of, you know, attracting a very diverse workforce. They want to know that when they're coming to work for you, they're going to feel welcomed. And what does that look like? And, you know, we all just need tools, tips, and resources. So we've gathered many of some things that have worked for us when we've either done trainings or even worked with our contractors or been to trainings ourselves. And these are some that we have used and found they're very helpful. We also have, you know, just some EEO Training Institute has some great information, and there's an EEOC checklist for employers. Things like that you might want to check out and just find out, you know, how are you doing? What other extra information do you need? And some of this may be things that, you know, you already have checked out or know, but this we've collected all in a single document. Talking about mentoring and mentorship programs, this is something that we do here at the Agency of Transportation. It's worked really well for our workforce. I know lots of different organizations have employed something along this line, and it really is a win-win. I will tell you, for anybody who has done any kind of mentoring, even in a small organization, it not only motivates the employee, but it motivates the person who is mentoring. It's sort of a reverse mentoring, for want of a better way of saying it, and it kind of re-energizes some people. And in a really busy and the type of work that you folks do, we all need that occasionally. We have some recruitment strategies that are in the document, things that you can look at, things that you may already have, some of your own resources and built already up some partnerships. But again, it does take a little while to cultivate some of those. And if you need any, you know, myself, Karen, Sonia, Lori, any of us, Karen is probably your greatest contact for anything CDL, or not, sorry, CDL, OJTs and CDLs, but OJT for what you folks are looking for. She's a great resource. She's been doing a fantastic job. Last year was her first real fully immersed season, and she did such a fantastic job, and she apologizes for not being able to be here today. Talking about like, how do you get the word out? We are all facing this right now. We are all like struggling especially in certain niche industries, to find a workforce, let alone a diverse workforce. But they are out there. There are people out there. I think, you know, an employer with a really good reputation, an employer where the employee feels welcomed and safe, is something that we all strive toward. Let's see, we have some information on print and radio ads. I will say social media seems to be the one that is working the best these days, getting yourself out there where you can, updating that, taking that little bit of time. Our Department of Labor is a great resource, and I know many of you use those. Vermont Works for Women. And then we have several here that you can be looking at. the organizations that are serving women and minorities. We try to, kind of curate a whole list so that you kind of have that one-stop shopping. And, if we're ever missing something and you find a great resource and for some reason we don't have it listed, by all means, send it to us. We will make sure that we include it. But these are some great program partners, and they can sort of bridge that gap sometimes and put you in contact with the groups that they work with. The career resource centers that are throughout the state, and at the bottom is the link, the main link to Vermont DOL and their job link. Let's see. Creative Workforce Solutions is also another great organization working with lots of folks who are either, getting back into the workforce, doing work, maybe, need just a little bit more of a helping hand, but are amazing workers and just helping connect those dots. The CDL schools themselves are great to sometimes reach out to and even advertise and let them know that you're hiring. Vermont Regional Career and Tech Centers, again, I have no doubt that you all have your favorite connection to some of these, and especially those that are closer to your area. We have been making some great inroads there, getting the chance to work with graduating students, or even giving them a chance to find out what you do as they're going through high school and building those connections. We're finding that a lot of these students come right out of high school, graduated, right into a job. And so trying to get them into your workforce can be a little harder if you're waiting right until they graduate. And I know in this industry, there are some age restrictions and different things, but finding a way to do either some job shadowing, be creative, just get them some experience with you and your organization. Then we have newspapers by county, just to make it as easy as possible for you. And these are all links directly to their individual organizations. And then at the very end is some workplace civility and unconscious bias resources. Again, training, short videos. If you're doing, you're doing your all staff meeting at the start of the construction season, or you have opportunities, training your supervisors. The supervisors are key, as we find out as well. How to make sure that they are well trained. They're your issue spotters for those of you that are more office based and not in the field based. And so are they doing a good job? And so making sure that they also have the tools and resources that they might need. And if you're doing a training or you're looking for some resources, feel free by all means to contact myself and or Karen. I've done a lot of training in this, as has Lori. And so we have lots of different resources. Just see if I have anything else. Oh yeah, and then at the very end is the contact us. And so that is just a quick overview of a document that we have created for your use, that hopefully you pull out, refer to. Definitely let us know if there's anything missing from that. And so then the other thing I want to, that's all well and good having like all these resources at your fingertips, but getting yourself out there. So on April, Lori, I'm gonna 26th. 26th, I had it 100%. It's in my calendar. I know where it is. I just didn't remember the date off the top of my head. Thank you, Sonia, for bringing it up. The AGC, Associated General Contractors, they are running what they're calling their Super Bowl of job fairs. They are hoping to have about 1,200 plus folks come through, many from the technical schools and also the general public. It's going to take place over at the Champlain Valley Expo. We plan to have a large presence there. We will also promote some of the OJT positions and things that are going to be out there, but we will also have some of our heavy equipment and things like that. And can you post the link? Can somebody post the link?
I did.
If you haven't already registered and you have the time, this is going to be running, I think it's from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. right at the Champlain Valley Expo. I think it'll give you a lot of exposure, how they seem to set it up with the flow for anybody who knows that the fairgrounds. It's sort of that blue ribbon over and across to the Robert E. Miller, and then there'll be a little bit of space outside for some equipment. I think it's about $300 for a table, so relatively, pretty reasonably priced. Can I just do, if there's a show of hands, has anybody registered for that? I'm just kind of curious who we might see there. I know we are going to have a large presence. We're excited about that. Awesome. I see 2, maybe 3, couple of folks. Oh, great. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I think that some of our
awesome.
participants
Krista,
today
Yep.
Yeah. So some of the
Awesome.
participants today are actually helping to sponsor that event as
Yes,
members
that
of
makes sense.
AGC.
That's great.
And
Thank you.
I think that hopefully there'll be a lot of you that consider there are still booths left. I think they're going pretty fast.
Yeah, they had
So
yeah, they definitely had a few left, but it'll be great to see some of you. I know I did get to see some of you at Norwich this past week as well. So we were all out there. Um, and so that is excellent. So that was a little bit I had to share. I'm looking forward to working with many of you over the construction season. I am a resource. Feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to help. And with that, Lori, I'm going to pass it back to you so you folks can do some Q&A and any other last little pieces.
well, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Colleen. I did, in addition to posting the link to the Super Bowl of job fairs, I also put in there a link to the AGC has a new website for construction jobs. If you haven't already taken a look at it, you should check it out. So I posted the link to that. And I think that it's open primarily to AGC members, but if you check it out, you'll be impressed. It's set up very well. It has a way that as an employer, you can be advertising for all of your positions, and the way that it's set up, job seekers that go to this site are able to learn about your jobs very, very easily and quickly and actually submit either their interest or an application right online. So it get another one-stop shopping, and it hopefully is attracting the very pool of folks that you're looking for. So it's worth checking out. And as Colleen said, we are eager to make sure that all of you find the folks that you need to make sure that you're working to capacity this year. We have so much great work ahead of us for this season and beyond. And bringing people into your workforce is obviously a really important first step, but then welcoming them, getting them trained and onboarded, but making sure that in spite of all the challenges, the culture in your organization is also going to suit folks and that you're going to be able to retain them. So all of the things that Colleen was going over are things that we encourage you to do, and we are here to help. And we're happy to help provide either training resources or actual training for your workforce. Not so much on the technical stuff from civil rights, but certainly on some of the respectful workplace and effective onboarding. So with that, we want to open it up. I know we've thrown a lot of information at you. I'm glad that George asked the question about whether we're sending the links. And as Sonia said, we'll have those out to you next week. Ben has two questions. One is there a checklist for required documents to be added to Doc Express Civil Rights drawer? And the second one, is there a single location on Doc Express to upload our policies and documents, or do we need to upload to each contract? So I think I know the answer to the second one, and I'll be the one to bear the bad news, Ben. So it's good news, bad news, right? In the past, we've usually asked you to provide us with copies of your EEO policies and documents at least once a season. In this case, because the way Doc Express is set up, it really is a contract, it's a project-based system. So we are going to ask you for each of your projects to be uploading those policies. That being said, it means that we're not going to be coming and bugging you at the worst possible time to say, where's your stuff? Because we're in the midst of doing either a desk review or some other form of compliance review. I know that Josh unmuted, and maybe Sonia as well, in terms of, is there a checklist for the required documents to be added? And go ahead, either one of you, I guess.
I guess, Sonia, I can do it. So yeah, Ben, in the guidance we provided to the contractors and suppliers link, in there in Appendix A is a list of the current documents and the names that we are looking for. Right now, I'd say that's an all-inclusive list, which there could be additional documents added at a later date. So what I would encourage others to is always take a look at the latest guidance or look at the link that's in Doc Express to that guidance, because we could change that manual throughout the year. It's rare. We usually, if we do any changes to those manuals, it's usually in early March. We try and not, mess with things during the season. We want to only do one change. One other piece that I just wanted to clarify, if you have an existing contract that was prior to July 1st of 2021, Doc Express right now is not something that you have to submit your certified payrolls or your information to. If you want to use Doc Express and you want to submit your payrolls or submit any documentation to, we can add that to your current contract. But anything prior to July 1 is not a requirement. Anything after January 1st of 2022 is when we are asking that all these documents be uploaded.
Thanks, Josh. Kristen from Pike, you have a question.
Oh, nope, sorry.
You're just waving to us. How about
I asked
Michelle
everybody
from
to put up their hand.
Oh, gotcha. How about Michelle from GNN? You have a question?
Do, Lori. Could someone speak about the Capital Construction Act fringe benefit requirement, which requires contractors to pay 42.5% additional fringe over and above the prevailing wage? How does one know if a project is funded by the Capital Construction Act? And I guess I'd like a little background as to why 42.5%. It seems
It's not
excessive.
our program. So just so that you know, Michelle, I know that you do sometimes work on state-funded construction projects, either through BGS or Department of Labor. So the Capital Construction Act would apply to projects that are not federally funded, that are state-funded. And what you're referring to is what's called a state prevailing wage. And that 42.5% fringe benefit is kind of a real kicker. It's something that we have no control over. It doesn't apply to any of our agency's projects, but we can either put in the link or send you offline a link to the prevailing wage book, as well as Matt Barowitz over at Department of Labor manages that program, and he'd be able to answer your questions. I believe if you look in your contract is where you would see whether or not the state prevailing wage would apply. So that's probably, I don't think that this applies to any, well, I know it doesn't apply to any agency of transportation projects that I'm aware of. Does that make sense? That's mostly to Sonia, whether it makes sense. Is that kind of, did I get that one right, Sonia?
Yeah, you did. I was just trying to find Matt's email or contact information to put into the chat, but I'm still working on that.
Okay.
That makes sense, Lori. Thank you. But any other questions? And also, before people go away, can you please take a minute, fill out our evaluation? I put the link in the chat. I'll also include it in the email that we send out if I missed you today, but we welcome your feedback. It's really important to us.
Absolutely. So yes, we'll link for the recording. Absolutely. Last year's is still up. And a link to one of the two sessions that we presented last year, and we'll probably leave that up, but we'll put a link to today's recording on our website, flubs and all, and we'll encourage you to share that with any of your coworkers or subcontractors or anyone that you think it would be beneficial for. You're welcome. Jill Maxwell, you have a question for us.
Yeah, hi. I'm so clunky with the
no worries.
The platform. I typed a question in chat that was looked like an answer to someone else's question. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate all this information. The retention piece is going to be really big for us. The recruitment piece for us, I feel like, is a little hard because we're a union shop And so we have to go to the union hall. And if there's nobody there who's, female or a person of color, then we have to hire a white guy, which is fine. But we are working with pre-apprenticeship programs to build the pipeline more. But I was just wondering if other people are union shops as well, and what ideas they have or what actions they're taking to get their workforce to be more diverse. So I put my email in the chat. It's jill.maxwell@hubfoundation.com. I'd love to network.
Well, that's a great question, Jill. And any of our participants, feel free to chime in. The majority of the Vermont-based companies are not union shops. I would say that that's true across the board. We do have a number of contractors that are unionized, but most of them are from out of state. And in some instances, it's only for portions of their workforce, let's say for equipment operators or something like that. So I think it varies a little bit. And yeah, there is some unique challenges and also opportunities in terms of diversifying your workforce when you've got some of those additional steps and requirements.
It's just going to take a little longer, I think.
It's true. But anyone else who wants to chime in or wants to network with Jill, she's put her contact information. And, if there's interest, we're happy to set up some kind of system where we can invite folks in maybe on a once-a-month basis at lunchtime to just chat about some of these kinds of issues. I think recruitment and retention is one of the places where we can always learn from each other and share best practices. Even though in some cases folks are in competition for the same workforce with each other, I think that we're all in this together as well.
For sure. It's just, we have to build it up for all of us.
It's true. And just alerting folks that are out there to all the benefits of coming into this industry. So I know we're past time. It's 11:02. You've all been really patient and hanging in there with us. I don't want to keep anybody beyond, although we already have. So I'm happy to stay, and Sonia's happy to stay.
Tanya had a question. Maybe Tanya, do you have a question?
It isn't really a question, and it's completely off subject, but I thought it was like a golden egg that I should share. Before the season starts up for us, we try to get all of our guys to get a lung test, the respirator fit test, and we usually try to get the lead test and hearing test done. And because of COVID, it has been impossible, because every single hospital or medical center or even little walk-in clinics have canceled all of their occupational health things. So I don't know if anybody is looking for somewhere to do any of this stuff, but I found Valley Regional Hospital in Claremont. Not only do they do all of this stuff, they will come to you. So I just thought I'd share that, because I know I had reached out and talked to a couple of other places that I figured did a lot of this stuff, and they were all having the same problem. So I just thought I'd share it, because they'll come to you and do everything but a lead test. The guys still have to go there to get that done, but.
That's great. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
That is, and if folks come across other kinds of resources like that, whether it's a safety and health resource or some other kind of thing, and you want to share it, maybe that's something else, send it in to us and we'll try to put a place up on our website.
Or we'll send it out in a newsletter.
Exactly. That was going to be my next suggestion.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Looks like people are dropping off, but are there any other questions before we all go away, or? No.
I think folks have run out of questions, and we've probably exhausted them in terms of not providing a break either, because we were kind of on the cusp there with a 2-hour training. I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the entire civil rights team and all of the Agency of Transportation for coming today. I know we threw a lot of information at you, but today was really designed to be as much information as possible on all of our new business processes and how we think it's going to help us all get through a very busy construction season. So Good luck to all of you. Enjoy everything that the spring season brings our way, both from work and personal. And we're looking forward to seeing you out there and working with you. Please send us all of your questions and information that you want us to share. Thanks again.
Thank you all. Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we can stop recording because I don't
Yes.
think there's going to be any additional questions. So if you want to end the transcript.